Follow us on Facebook at Off Script with Super E Podcast. Also follow us on Twitter at offscriptpod_1. Off Script with Super E recommends listener discretion, as these real but sometimes uncensored stories can be filled with mature content.
Hello everybody, Jay here, back with another Off Script with Super E, our holiday weekend edition. And, I'm at my studio. A-Train is at his studio. A-Train, say something.
Hey. What's happening, everybody?
Hey.
Hey.
And, of course, the star of our show, Super E. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. Getting ready for the Easter.
Oh, my God.
Easter.
Yeah, I mean, there's 287 shopping days left.
Yeah. I'm still frantic to get a gift.
I understand. Hey, Trey, what's going on, buddy?
Just like you, just getting ready for Easter tomorrow. Going to have a big mess of people over. But I do want to discuss one thing. So, just minutes before the show, Super E sent me a picture, and it's hard to describe exactly what the picture was. It kind of had that Bigfoot Sasquatch kind of, fuzzy. You could make it out, but you really weren't 100% sure what you were looking at. Super E, can you describe the picture you sent me and please explain the backstory, please?
Okay. Well, speaking of Easter, and the Easter Bunny hopping along, if there was any kid within 5 miles where I live, he's probably telling his mom or dad, "Mom, Dad, I just saw the biggest fucking Easter Bunny hopping along ever."
Please explain for our listeners.
Okay, my lovely wife, who was driving to work to deliver the mail, she's driving down the road, minding her own business, and this is just recently. Unfortunately, she struck a deer not too long ago. After I'm in the car in front of her with the kids taking to school. 2 seconds later, she calls me. "I hit a deer." I go, "Was it laying in the driveway behind the wheels?" She got about 50 yards. A deer jumps in front of her. She goes, "Ooh, I'm glad I avoided that, but I should plow straight ahead without looking for any more." And then she hit the leg of a deer and injured it, but it went off.
Okay.
So she's very wary of things jumping out in front of her. We also have like turkeys, and she has to avoid 1,000 squirrels a day. Well, today she's driving along, making sure she doesn't hit a deer, smash a squirrel, or anything like that. But what does she see bouncing in front of her? Not a squirrel, not a rabbit, not a deer. A giant kangaroo is bounding in front of her. She goes, "Oh my God, is that a fucking kangaroo?"
I mean, she had to think she was hallucinating or something.
Yeah, she's like, "Oh my God, that's a kangaroo." And so she's like, kangaroos are cute, but this kangaroo's bouncing along, and if anybody comes across it, that kangaroo can easily, of course, box the shit out of you, knock your teeth out, or disembowel you with a kick to the gut.
And
that's what I do.
I want to remind our listeners, we live in the Midwest United States. We do not live in Australia. So seeing a kangaroo in the fields of our Midwestern state is not an everyday occurrence, is it, Super E?
No, it is not. It is highly unlikely. It's almost coming across. It's like you'd come across Mad Max, trying to soak up gasoline on the ground.
Yes. So what happens then?
So she's like, okay, this is a dangerous animal. It could kill somebody who comes across it. So she calls up our the emergency dispatch, and I think she thought she got dispatched, but she must have got Carlton, the doorman from Rhoda. She calls up and he goes, what's the nature of her call? I just want to let you know there's a kangaroo at the intersection of this road and this road. And so, yeah, you might want to get somebody out here and call the owner of that exotic pet farm. It's just right down the road.
Okay. Now we're getting somewhere.
And so the dispatcher's like, excuse me, but what's your name? I just told you my name, and I'm telling you that there's a kangaroo at this location. He just must have got away from the exotic pet farm. You better call the owner and get him out here. Okay, what's going on? My wife is now. There is a kangaroo out here on the road. I think it escaped from that exotic pet farm down. Well, ma'am, how do you know it came from that exotic pet farm?
Oh my God.
She's like, well, that's where they keep exotic, kangaroo. It's out here where I live, is out in a rural area, but kangaroos aren't, a dime a dozen out here where people are walking them around the IGA on a leash. This is my service kangaroo. I must have it with me at all times. I would pretty say that this is the only kangaroo within 500 miles of this location.
Right.
And my wife is like, okay, I've told you my name 500 times, and I've told you there is a kangaroo on the loose hopping around at this location. It comes from this exotic pet farm. You need to call the owner, because I've already tried knocking on its door to let him know, and nobody answered. So if you could get somebody over there to help wrangle the kangaroo and let the owner know. And she goes, I got to go.
Wow.
So she goes, I'll see you, Carlton, the doorman.
Wow. Does she have any confidence that dispatcher was putting anything out to anybody other than there's some crazy lady on the road?
All I know is that, and then she tried to post it on whatever the county chatter is, but she says that takes forever. So she posted it on whatever she has. See, we have just one house across the street from us, our only neighbor. And so she posted it to him. Then it immediately went out to all the people around here. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe the kangaroo. And then it got back. The guy that owns the exotic pet farm, he's also on whatever this is. He goes, all the inhabitants of the pet farm are accounted for, which that was code speak for it. The kangaroo is back where it belongs.
So how far from your house is this exotic zoo?
It's about 2 miles.
Okay.
2.5 miles. And it's a really nice place. It's very popular. People love to go there. They have like really good food and all kinds of interesting animals. And
did he say they have really good food?
They do, and it's not kangaroo shish kebab.
Okay.
They just have like good food that you can buy there. So people love going there, and so but to see the kangaroo,
wow,
bounding down the road in front of her, and the very indifferent dispatcher. Oh yeah, what's the nature of your call?
Hey, go ahead, Jay.
I was just going to ask how we can segue a crazy ass story like that into one of your tales.
Well, here's I can do it. I go say out here in the county I live in, really nothing goes on except for a kangaroo sighting, which apparently must happen all the time with the amount of apathy that was given to my wife about it. But every once in a while, all shit breaks loose out here. Nothing goes on. Everything, normal daily things for the local law enforcement. And then shit goes crazy. And I was just talking to one of the officers the other day, and he was telling me about a month ago. It was completely glossed over me. I didn't know this happened. But in a small town right outside the town we helped. They stopped a dude and ran a check on him, come back. He is wanted for attempt murder. Well, the guy knew something was up. Boom, he just takes off. And of course, he leaves them on a 40-mile chase west, entering into the area that we live at. And he even he zipped past my little town and went into even smaller town right on the state line. There's only like a couple hundred people live in this small town. This guy's running. The local, I don't know if he was a town marshal or something, he tried to apprehend the guy. They get into a shootout. The guy shoots the officer twice in the leg, and the officer returned fire on him, hits him in the butt. The guy runs off into a barn. And so then, by now, all the local law enforcement surround the barn. And like what you would hope to see in the next Lethal Weapon movie, when they surround the bad guy, all of a sudden they're like, "We got you covered. There's nothing you can do. You know, we got you surrounded." He comes blasting out. He started hot wired or got a dump truck started and comes blasting out of the barn, shooting at him through the windshield. Whoa. Of course, they return fire and disable him. And, you know, he's still alive and okay, but they were able to get him out of that dump truck. And I was like, what the hell's going on? Usually everything's real low key. Then all hell breaks loose. But they were telling me about this dump truck, which reminded me of my dump truck story.
I'm gonna stop you just for 1 second. Jay, so I know you're a big fan of this movie like I am. Oh, brother, where art thou? What does that scene remind you of?
Right. Oh, the barn scene where they set the barn on fire.
Yes. And they come blasting out.
We're in a tight spot.
Hey.
So what'd they go blasting out in?
In a car. Some kid drives them out of the burning barn.
All right. So anyways, on the black, you know, that when he was telling me about this amazing dump truck story, reminded me of the dump truck story I had about 18 years ago in our city that we love. I got a call from my informant, my Fountain Square Demi Moore, and she goes, "Hey, Super E, there's this crackhead. He's out running around stealing cars. He's just not stealing, you know, any car. He's stealing brand new Ford F-150s, 2005s, because that was when this happened. They were brand new. And then he would go to her house and go, "Hey, do you know anybody who wants to pay $500 for a brand new truck?"
I'll take one.
And he was making money left and right so he could buy his crack. And so I call up our auto theft guys. And I get this officer on the phone. I said, "Hey, this is Super E. I get information from my informant. We got a guy out there stealing brand new Ford F-150s, 05s. And he's only selling them for $500. So here's what we can do. I will buy the trucks and cocaine from this guy. And then you can have this stolen truck, you know, because then they can recover them and do all that." And this officer was like, this detective was like, I don't understand what you're talking about. Well, okay. I will make you the case agent on this. I will be the undercover. I will buy the truck and any drugs off the guy. I will take the drug arrest. You be the case agent for the vehicle recovery. I don't understand undercover and case agent.
Okay. Sure.
I'm like, yes. And so I'm like, am I understanding what I'm hearing? Oh, Super E, all we do is sit here at our desk 8 hours a day. I'm thinking I'm getting nowhere fast with talking to this person. So I think I'm going to have to do everything myself. So I hang up the phone and I'm like, well, not too long after that, I get another phone call. It's my Fountain Square Demi. And she tells me, "Hey, this son of a bitch is here right now. He just stole a vehicle." I said, "Holy shit, is it a nice Ford F-150? She goes, "No, it's a giant dump truck. They were doing landscaping around the city county building." and it's a city county building dump truck. He gets out of court for whatever arrest he previously had, walks outside, jumps into the truck, starts it up, and takes off with it.
Wow.
And he's now down here. He's going, hey, I've got this junk truck for sale. I said, you got to be shitting me. She goes, I'm telling you the truth. I'm looking at it right now as I'm talking to you. It says city county dump truck. And I said, hold on to him as long as you can. I've got a plan. Now, generally, my plans were basically harebrained schemes, but this was my plan. I call up the South District, and I said, hey, I need a couple of uniform cars down here. I'm going to set on this car, in this dump truck, in my unmarked vehicle, and I'm going to let him know when this guy's moving in it. And then they can pull him over and recover it. Everything's to be safe. Because if I walk up looking like, Charles Manson, trying to arrest this guy, it's not going to work. So they call me back and they say, hey, we've got 2 uniforms stationed here and here. And one of the uniform cars had a prosecutor riding with him that day, which made it very interesting. So I called Dee back on the phone. I go, what's the guy doing? She goes, man, he won't quit talking. I can't get rid of him. I said, well, make up something just to get him out of the house. Tell him that you and your boyfriend have to go somewhere. And she's like, okay. So she calls me back and goes, okay, we told him we're leaving. He's walking out to the dump truck now and getting ready to drive off. I said, fine. He gets into this gigantic dump truck and he starts driving. Then he starts going south. I notify the one uniform officer who had the prosecutor with him. I said, the dude is heading your way. I never in a million years thought that the guy would try to flee in a dump truck.
Oh, man.
But so I get behind the uniform officer, and as soon as he lights up this dump truck, the fucking chase is on.
Wow.
This guy is screaming. I'm like, oh, my God, this dump truck is, you're worried that he's going to plow into somebody or do something.
Yeah.
So he screams around in a big circle. And he's heading back right where he started at Dee's house. And her boyfriend, who we'll call Jack or Jay, they're standing outside watching. He does a circle and goes heading right back at him. I was at this one intersection. I cut him off at the pass, basically. I'm watching. I could see him. He heads right back towards my informant and her boyfriend. He hangs out the window, has got his tongue wagging, and is giving the big thumbs up, having the best time of his life.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, this guy is nuts. So he takes off. Now, this kind of speaks for the unreliability of our police cars at the time. So now we got 2 uniform cars chasing him. We got me and I'm kind of trying to keep up. And I pick up, no, I don't pick them up yet, but I'm chasing after him. One of the police cars, of course, overheats and is out of the game. Kind of, again, like the road where I'm out of the game. And so he's off to the side of the road, radiator blown. And then the chase car is starting to break down. The one behind it is clunking along. He could barely keep up. And then the dump truck, the dude in the dump truck, he smashes into this wooded area, gets up, and he's running. And then the police car breaks down and just kind of rolls up and can't find the guy. And we're like, holy shit. Well, unfortunately for me, I run out of gas. But luckily for me, I had run out of gas. I get on there. I'm out of the game, mate. And luckily, my informants called me like, what's going on? I said, I'm out of gas. They were right behind us, and they had a gas can. So we put gas in my police car. They jump in, and I go, hey, the dude, they can't find him. He ran into the woods. And they go, we know exactly where this son of a bitch is going. He crawled through these woods. They go, he's going to his friend's house over here. So luckily I had them with me, and they had gas on them so I could keep going. I get on the radio. I said, I think I know where this guy's at. They said, yeah, all our cars are broke. All our police cars are broke down. We don't know where he's at. And, I said, well, he crawled through the woods, and we're going to go check out a place to see if he's there. So I have my informant and her boyfriend. They're crouched down in the back of my car. They're sitting in the back seat, peeking their heads up. We drive by this old broke down house. There's the dude sitting on the porch, covered in dirt, because he guess he had to crawl through mud and gunk. There's kind of a swampy area. And he's sitting on the porch just covered in dirt. And he's thinking that he's got away scot-free. And then I said, the dude is over here sitting on the porch. And so we drove up a little bit, and he wasn't even paying attention to us, so we could watch the uniformed cars slowly roll by. And then they get out and walk up to him. And he's sitting there, and they're like, hey, what's going on? He goes, I'm just chilling.
Just chilling with dirt all over me.
Yeah, I'm just chilling. Why are you so dirty? I was doing a little yard work. Would you have to be driving a dump truck at a high rate of speed? Oh, no. I'm dirty from doing yard work. Oh, really? Why is it you smell like diesel fuel? Oh, who knows? And so they're like, can you do us a favor? What's that? Can you stand up, put your hands behind your back? And he's like, damn, you got me. And that was my dump truck story. And I think A-Train has a dump truck story too.
Oh, mine's not nearly as entertaining
But
as that.
it's still interesting about how we stumble onto things. Like I stumbled on with my informant calling me about a dump truck. Didn't you have kind of a similar situation?
Yeah, I did. So real quick, my informant called me, said, dude he knows just stole a dump truck. It's over parked on this street. And he goes, I'm sure he's going to be going back to it soon. So I just went out there with my camera and
on your own. Was this on your own?
Yeah, I was just on
my
my
initiative.
Of course, because that's how we work, isn't it?
Yes,
Super?
we're lone wolves. Yes,
lone wolves. So I sat on that dump truck, and it wasn't very long. He comes back and he's messing around with the dump truck, and I'm there snapping pictures away. And so I called some uniform officers. I said, "Hey, there's this stolen dump truck over here. This cat's gonna get in it and drive off." And sure enough, he gets in there, fires it up. I'm still snapping my pictures, and he takes off. I let the uniform cars know, and they stop him about a block away. And there we go. Stolen dump truck, apprehension.
Exactly. But what did the judge think about this? Where you thought it was just a piece of cake going out there, no big deal, no sweat, making arrests. What did the judge think about it?
Well, this never happened to me before in my life. So it went to court, and this judge, and I presented the case and all the pictures and all that. He wrote a letter to the chief and said, what a fantastic job Detective A-Train did on it. Never.
Way to go, A-Train.
Yeah, imagine that, a judge saying we did a good job.
Sweet.
Yes. Not very exciting, but yes, that's my dump truck story.
But see, you know what? Sometimes the best police work is you just fall into it, or you just get a tip and you go out there.
Yeah.
And then you get the job done.
That is exactly right, Super E.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think this is a good Easter show with the big fucking rabbit.
The kangaroo dump truck Easter themed podcast.
Yes.
Hey, Jay, what do you think? Is that a appropriately themed Easter show?
I have a dump truck story.
Oh, right. Well, let's hear it.
Yeah, so Single J was in one of our local establishments and walked in and saw this woman at the bar, girl/woman, waiting in line to get a drink, and she had the sweetest dump truck of an ass.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Like,
So, did you apprehend that dump truck?
Well,
Single
J. Right. Single J saw this, that's what they call them these days. You know that, right?
No, I'm not very hip. No. No.
Yep. Girl got a dump truck. They're I guess they've even come up with workouts to get said dump truck.
Got it.
Yeah.
Look at Jay trying to make us hip, Super E.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know what? Since, I remember I got another jerk story. We'll probably edit this out, but me and Double S got a great laugh out of this because uh, my sister-in-law, God love her, she was living with a guy who maybe wasn't the most attentive to her needs or cared about whatever situation she was in. And she lived in the middle of nowhere. She had to be somewhere like pronto. And her car, she had a little Taurus, it broke down or something. And she said she needed a ride to, I think she was taking classes or picking up her son from school. And he couldn't be bothered. And she calls him up and he's like, you're going to have to find another way there. I'm too busy or something like that. He goes, I know, take the dump truck, because he lives on like 80 acres and has this piece of shit. He goes, but you have to be careful because it doesn't have any brakes. And so my sister-in-law calls my wife, and of course they have to vent to each other. And she was screaming that she had to go, I think it was to the school or something, to pick up her son in a fucking dump truck with no brakes.
Oh my!
And of course, instead of showing compassion and concern, me and Double S, we were braying like mules over it. It was just, we thought it was the funniest thing ever.
Well, you know what? Okay, so I don't feel quite so bad as a father. So she picking her kids up at school in a dump truck. One time,
no brakes.
My daughter was in middle school, and I had been out doing surveillance in our surveillance van, which it looked like a rape van. I mean, it was creepy as hell. So I was late. I had to pick my daughter up from school, and I pull up in this van, and you should have seen this little girl's face. My daughter just looked at me like, I want to kill you, because all her friends are like, what's that creepy van? What? Aaron, don't get in that van. Oh, I got to bleep that out. Daughter, don't get in that van. So she got in that van, and she didn't speak to me for a couple days.
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like that SNL skit when the officer of safety come to class and goes, kids, you don't want to get in any strange vans with strangers who will offer you candy. And one girl goes, yeah, but how do we get that candy? So if you want to get that candy, you got to get in that van.
Oh my God almighty. So yeah, that was get in the van. We'll see y'all later. Bye.